imperfect. We will always be imperfect. We aren't machines. We aren't AIs. So we will always be able to be conned, or we can be threatened, or we can just do something out of spite sometimes. Who knows? But as long as this actually is the situation of the world, we can train people how much we want. There still will be a small percentage that will fall for it or will be able to be threatened. And then we have to go in with technology to make sure that humans are allowed to be humans. And we will achieve that through technology. So we will have to simply ensure that all the policies and laws and rules that we implement also are followed up and met by the technology, so that you actually can see that this page, this requirement actually leads to this in technology. And then you can measure it as well.
Yeah.
And then you can see progress.
I can easily see that AI will play an important role in that, but that's a whole different topic. And now we actually have to go back to Arno, who has even more to say about the successes of Holland when it comes to cybersecurity.
What's needed to move forward and to say, okay, how can we improve cybersecurity in the Netherlands? That is actually pretty simple. You have to work on your policies, you have to work on your people, and you've got to work on your technique and security techniques. It is important for for everyone basically in our society to have a good level of cybersecurity. Most hackers these days they tend to use the net. They just throw the net and see what they've caught. And if you are like the weakest link in that thing, so it means that you have some systems open. It means that you're being caught. I always tell organizations to not be the weakest link, because hackers are always looking for the weakest link. So you don't have to be the strongest in cybersecurity, but you have to be not the weakest, because then you're just sitting ducks. For organizations, that means that they have to really consider the risks that cybersecurity. If you don't do anything about cybersecurity, you have to consider the risks. It means that you are jeopardizing your entire company, and we see that a lot of companies actually, the big multinationals and larger organizations, that actually have their priorities more and more straight, because they realize that since this year 2022, it is considered worldwide to be threat number one for companies: cybersecurity and data breaches, a loss of availability within organizations of their services, or parts of the organization being crippled by ransomware attacks. These kind of threats are super serious and a real threat to the continuation of how we used to do things. For companies, that is really important, because it just costs a lot of money. So it's bad business to not take any responsibility and take action when it comes to preventing cybersecurity events from happening. But for government organizations, it's also, how do you expect people to trust you as a government if you cannot just safeguard the information of the people that you're providing services to?
Thank you, Arno, for that. And something that really sort of resonated with me was the trust part, that people don't have a choice but to trust the government. Do you share that sort of image or attitude, maybe?
I think it's a hard question, but I think
It's almost a philosophical question.
it is. And given recent events, etc., I think there's some issues with that kind of trust as well. But I think that's also why we talk a lot about, you need to educate everyone, not just, the lawyers and the politicians, etc. You also need to educate your children, etc. Because we need to do this together, right? As a community, as a nation, as, a part of the world, and as the entire globe. So there's also been discussions about, well, for instance, having bans on cyber weapons in the same way that we have had bans for biological warfare. Maybe some things should not be allowed, for instance. So I think this is not a public-private sector question. We need to do this together. And we need to tear down those walls between public sector and private sector because, I mean, the bad guys don't care.
And so what you're saying is that a blind trust isn't what you want to go for. You still need to be educated, know when to trust and maybe not, or question at least what you're seeing.
You need to understand. And you can't do that without knowledge.
Without awareness, you're in the hands of your government or the legislator to actually tell you what to trust. And we have proven over and over again in history that that recipe doesn't work. So, but the only medicine in my book, the only vaccine to this is to actually demand awareness or infuse awareness or get them yourself, or actually, as Junglemap does and many of us, infuse awareness all around the globe, regardless of who does it. Because with awareness, with the power of knowledge, you can actually start making the right questions and the right demands. And we can't forget that the politicians are there because we elected them in a democratic state. So if we are aware, if we are asking the right question, they have to pursue that line. And then there is trust, a real trust.